Hi, I'm Glenn Heemstra from Futures.com. I'm on the organizing committee for Mark Anderson's annual Future in Review conference. And each year this conference selects a number of FiReStarter companies. These are companies picked because, number one, they're going to make a big difference in the world, and number two, they have a good chance of being successful. One of the FiReStarters selected this year is TrifectaGIS. I'm with Clark Easter, founder and CEO. Trifecta is a browser-based geospatial process engine, which is a mouthful. Tell me what you're up to at Trifecta.
Okay. The Western world's in the middle of this huge transformation from a traditional linear approach to engineering to a geospatial approach. Linear is what the Romans did 2,000 years ago. It means 0 points, and you're measuring off of 0 points. So when you look at how we track all of our infrastructure, utility lines, gas lines, etc., they're all in a linear paradigm. And that paradigm is inherently inaccurate. We're about enabling utility companies, cities, states to begin to move towards geospatial management of all of their assets. There are huge cost savings and efficiencies that are possible as they make this move.
So you have processes by which people can better locate all of this stuff that's underground, that's sort of been lost or it was known within 100 feet or so.
Yeah. Absolutely. When you look around today, nobody knows what's under our streets. And yeah, sure, the gas company, the electric company, they have a set of engineering drawings, but those engineering drawings may be 50 meters, 100 meters off of reality. And so the truth is nobody really knows with any accuracy what's under the streets. As the utility companies and cities move to a geospatial paradigm, they'll know exactly what's under the street within a matter of a few inches one way or the other. And the minute that happens, there are huge cost savings. Let me bring one huge cost saving to your awareness. Everybody today has seen a city roading department repave a highway. And then 60 days later, some other department of the city, the water department or the electric utility, comes along and digs up that nice new pavement and ruins it. That happens because nothing is geospatial and there's no ability to collaborate. Once the cities and the utilities move into a geospatial paradigm, we can literally, because we have XYZ plus time, we can do a dating service between the utilities and the cities to help them actually collaborate. So if I want to run a fiber optic line down the street, I can actually be automatically notified when somebody else wants to dig up that same street, so we can work together. You can save millions of dollars at the same time. I believe the savings in the U.S. Are over $4 billion a year that could flow to cities and utilities through this technology.
That's incredible. And you mentioned the U.S. market, but you are you've begun in New Zealand, kind of also some New Zealand experiences and engineers and so on.
We've begun in New Zealand because New Zealand actually has a global reputation for its approach to infrastructure management. New Zealand's never had much money, and as a result, they've been very thoughtful about how they spend it. And you see some of the most advanced thinking in the world there with outcomes-driven management of infrastructure. And so we've taken advantage of the engineers there and that whole paradigm of thinking.
Okay, and I know that Trifecta is not just about sort of recovering old lost data about where things are buried. It's about sensor-based technology, and it's also about project management. Tell us about those two aspects of the company.
One of the things is when you're talking infrastructure, you're talking everything from roads, sidewalks, water pipes, sewer pipes, stormwater pipes, and property. Cities and states own everything imaginable. They own, landfills. They own schools. They own all sorts of things, all of which are constantly in need of repair and maintenance. But they also have all sorts of environmental problems associated with them, meaning you have landfills that are leaking. You have old tank farms in cities that have fuel oil and things like that leaking out of them. So about 8 months ago, we decided that we would enable our infrastructure platform to plug and play environmental sensors of all kinds right into any X, Y, or Z coordinate. Now, it may surprise everyone, but in this country, and in fact worldwide, the state of environmental monitoring is incredibly primitive. Today, it's all done manually. Somebody goes out in a little spacesuit and takes a little glass vial and sends it off to be tested. And then weeks later, it comes back. In fact, we're now ready to switch to real-time monitoring of environmental contaminants. And so what we've done is build a platform that will allow a state or a federal government to literally monitor thousands of sites simultaneously, and will also create the foundation for outcomes-based evaluation of what's actually working in environmental remediation.
And in talking with you before, I think, what you just described is part of what you told me would be, you thought, a sort of a revolution in engineering over the next 5 to 10 years.
It is a revolution. When you look at environmental issues today, they're huge issues. California alone has over 47,000 sites that need monitoring. And they're ranging from dry cleaners who have contaminated the soil to oil change shops, et cetera. All of these sites need monitoring, and you can't do it manually. So we have the ability to automate all of that. But in addition, environmental remediation, there's some amazing stuff starting to take place, bacteria, et cetera, that are starting to be injected into the ground to attack contaminants. All of it to really start to know what works. The environmental field desperately needs a database that is capable of doing what I call outcomes tracking, meaning here's what's going on under the ground, here's what happens when I inject the bacteria. You need to be able to see that in real time. So I actually think that over the next few years, we're going to see environmental engineering companies start to be able to point to their track records with real data, as opposed to, I see a very similar process to what's happened in medicine. Medicine is moving towards an evidence-based approach. I think the exact same process has to happen in environmental remediation, and we've built the first platform that can scale thousands of sites where engineers will be able to actually track and compare what's happening and begin to really identify what's producing the best outcomes.
Sounds fantastic. Congratulations to Trifecta. It sounds like you've got a very broad set of initiatives that you're pursuing. Very exciting. I can see why you're a FiReStarter. Congratulations.